Hey everyone, how's it going? So here's my Dead City official ranking video. I thought that I would rank all 6 episodes and give my opinions as to why I do think I would rank them in this order. So yeah, so obviously this will contain spoilers for the season, so I hope you guys are all aware of that. I also wanted to mention that I am doing a podcast. It's me and 3 others. The podcast is, honestly, I would say more on the comedic side, but we do give a lot more opinions on really everything. It's not about one specific thing, though we are doing an episode today focused a lot on The Walking Dead and San Diego Comic-Con, all the trailers and stuff. So we'll be talking about that for a while. And this podcast will be premiering on July 24th. The podcast is called The Empty Minds Podcast, and I will leave a link down below in the description. Definitely make sure to go and subscribe. It will be available here on YouTube, as well as on Spotify, and I guess just wherever you watch or listen, I guess, to podcasts and whatnot. All of that's going to be set up today. So if you don't see it on Spotify or certain things yet, like, it's going to be on there pretty much right away. But definitely go subscribe on YouTube, because we will be posting the first episode in 2 days. We're going to be recording an episode today. We have probably 4 or 5 episodes already just sort of sitting there waiting to be released. So yeah, so I thought I would just announce that now. But yeah, I'll see you guys there for the first episode. Again, the link is in the description of this video. So I wanted to rank all 6 episodes here, and I just wanted to point out as well that this is just my ranking of the season, and this could also change at some point in the future. Like, I could watch this in 5 years from now and be like, I disagree entirely with what I was saying. Like, I wouldn't put that as my number 1, or I wouldn't put that as number 4 sort of thing. This literally is just my opinion based off of things now. Definitely post your top 6, post your rankings in the comments. I will be checking the comments and stuff too. I do want to see your guys' top 6. So I guess let's actually begin this top 6, and let's actually get into the first one here. So number 6, episode 4, Everybody Wins a Prize. Now, I felt very conflicted with putting this one here as the worst episode of the season because we got Simon's flashback. Like, seeing Simon again was just truly amazing. And by the way, this being the last one, I'm not saying it was a horrible episode or anything. It's just, it was my least favorite of all 6 episodes. And the reason why I would put it this low is because of the whole arena battle that happens at the end. I thought a lot of that was just a little underwhelming. I was hoping that it was going to feel a lot bigger than what it felt like, but it just felt kind of small and like nothing was really happening. And I just, for a battle of sorts anyways, it really, I don't know, it just kind of felt a little off. Like, I wish that a little more would have happened there. Having Maggie and everyone else just enter the arena and then no one's there, and then there's just a bunch of walkers that enter. Like, the use of the explosions too outside, I just thought that seemed a lot more crazier than what was actually happening and the walkers that were actually going inside. So like, all the stuff as well with the marshal, holding Negan at gunpoint, that was something that was just a little too frustrating. I do understand why he's doing that, and definitely his character later on changes from that for sure, but it was still something that, just as a part of this episode, it's just, again, it adds to why this is my least favorite. But this episode is still a good episode. Like, it's a good episode to watch. It's just, out of all 6, I would rank this as number 6. But let's go to number 5. So number 5, episode 1, Old Acquaintances. So this one, I would say, it had to be number 5, like, specifically because I think more of what's to come was just better. I thought this was a very solid premiere. I think that it really focused a lot on what our characters are doing now, right? And we sort of learned that there was an attack at the new hilltop, and also that's called the Bricks now. That's a really interesting renaming. So the hilltop is just not a thing anymore. It's just now called the Bricks. We learned Maggie's motivations here. Her son was captured by the Croat, and we learned that he was a former savior, and Maggie needs to go to Manhattan to save him, and she needs Negan's help. So seeing, just what their life was like early on, and just like seeing the encounter there and them just sort of living wherever was really cool. Just to see Negan living in like this motel, like, it just really gave me, first of all, like Bates Motel vibes, just because the quality of the show kind of felt the same anyways. But this episode, I think, really set up, visually what the show is going to look like, and really gave us our first taste of like, this is what the next era of the Walking Dead universe is going to be like. And everyone was so excited about it. It just got like crazy reviews immediately. It was a big hit as soon as it aired, and it's honestly been pretty surprising how consistent the episodes have been in terms of the ratings, because like the most recent episode is, I think, like the second or third highest episode out of all of them. Like, the episode has been pretty consistent with all of its releases, and I think the only reason why episode 3 was a little lower was because of July 4th. So yeah, I think episode 1, I think it was a very solid premiere. I think that it would be up there for me anyways with season premieres. So Number 4, episode 2, titled Who's There? So in this one here, we do meet, obviously, the group that we eventually do travel around with, and obviously Maggie and Negan need their help to be able to take down the Croat. And this episode I really liked in terms of how it really just focused on world building, and we really met this group and learned a lot of things about this group. And I thought that was just like something that, I mean, it really reminded me of season 1. Like season 1 of The Walking Dead, like just those same vibes of just meeting a new group and just learning everybody's names and just learning who they are and stuff like that. I thought it was just really awesome. Negan does open up about the Croat in this episode as well, so we do learn some stuff there. We also do meet the Barazzi, obviously the villains of the season, and Negan has a very iconic scene there where, I mean, I think episode 3 might be I don't even know, honestly. It's kind of hard to say which moment I would prefer. Would I prefer Negan's moment in episode 3 or in episode 2? In episode 2, it was much more what the character it was during the Savior arc, but episode 3, the ending there with Luther, definitely I think was a little more gruesome. So yeah, I don't know. But overall, I would put episode 2 as number 4. Number 3, episode 5, Stories We Tell Ourselves. So in this one here, we got a really, really iconic moment. This one, we got the Walker King, which to me is the best walker that we have ever seen in the franchise. And I really mean that. This was the best walker I've ever seen. We actually learned that Ginny actually knows that Maggie was lying about what happened at the bricks in terms of, the Croats stealing their grain and all that. That never happened at all. The Croat actually set up Maggie to bring Negan to him in return for Herschel. So that was a big reveal at the very end. Honestly, a very, very big episode, a big, crazy reveal. And honestly, I don't really have any issues with this episode. I thought this episode was just phenomenal. And all the deaths in the episodes, I don't have an issue with the deaths necessarily, but there's something that I have an issue with that I wish that they would have explored a little bit more, but they just never did. But it would have created some classic Walking Dead drama that you would have seen in Telltales or like early Walking Dead seasons. And they never got there, but I'll talk about that in my season 1 review, which will be coming out tomorrow. Number 2, episode 6, the season finale. So I would put this as number 2 because, I mean, I just first of all preferred number 3 over this one, which I guess I'll just talk about that right now. I'll talk about them all together. So number 1 is episode 3, People Are a Resource. Now, the reason why I preferred this one over episode 6 really is because of the feeling I got watching it. And I talked about it in my episode 3 review. It felt like classic Walking Dead, and it was something that I was just missing for a very, very long time. And I was just honestly blown away by the music that was used at the very end. There was some stuff, obviously, with Negan versus Luther. I thought that whole thing there was just absolutely amazing. And just afterwards, with the music playing, you just sort of, you're feeling the sad realities of this world, just how hard this world is. And not even that, like they're planning a lot of stuff. There's a lot of character stuff in here that I really liked. I just think in general, this episode to me was number 1. And the reason why I have episode 6 as number 2 is because it just, again, it was still a really great episode. It just wasn't my favorite. Episode 6 was still very phenomenal. The ending to this has me so hyped for season 2. I'm so excited to see where exactly Maggie is going to go with the information that she has in terms of the photo of the DOMA. Like, is she going to want to learn more about this character? Like, what's next for her? We know where Negan is likely going to go. Where I think the story is going to go for season 2, which I will have a season 2 video coming out tomorrow. But just to talk about that a little bit here, where I think they're going to go is I do believe Negan, he will start to have some sort of effect. They're probably going to do some sort of time jump of like a few months, and we will see Negan obviously, doing something in terms of actually like working with other communities. He will be gaining more allies, and then I think they'll be attacking some of New Babylon, which I think is, where Maggie's going to learn a lot more about that. Episode 6, I think, was just really great. I really think that it perfectly ended the season. The Maggie and Negan stuff, the way Negan sort of reacted to what Maggie did, I thought was just crazy, because like he could have been really angry. He could have honestly probably killed her at many moments, but like, no, he wanted her to reunite with Herschel. He just sort of let it happen. And that look he gives at the end, like, man, that's going to be haunting Maggie forever. And it probably still is at this point, right? But yeah, so these are my top 6. So just to sort of recap it really quick. Number 6 was episode 4. Number 5, episode 1. Number 4, episode 2. Number 3, episode 5. Number 2, episode 6. And number 1 was episode 3. So definitely post your top 6 down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.